The Foolish Village People by Emaan Adnan, Grade 3. Once upon a time, in the heart of a green valley, there was a tiny village called Bloopville. The people of Bloopville were kind-hearted but incredibly foolish. They often made silly decisions that left everyone scratching their heads. However, they believed they were the wisest people in the whole world. One sunny morning, the villagers gathered in the town square for an emergency meeting. "Our village well has run dry," shouted the mayor, Mr. Jumpy. "We need water." The villagers nodded in agreement. Then a man named Mr. Snaily raised his hand. "I have the perfect idea," he declared. "Let's dig another well right beside this one. If the first well is empty, surely the second one will have water." Everyone cheered at the brilliant, or so they thought, idea. They spent the entire day digging the second well. By sunset, they had another empty hole beside the first one. The villagers were confused. "Why didn't this work?" wondered Mrs. Bouncy, the baker. "Maybe we should ask someone smarter for advice." "Ask who?" questioned Mr. Snaily. "How about the donkey?" suggested little Timmy, the youngest boy in the village. The villagers thought this was a marvellous idea. They brought their old sleepy donkey named Bruno to the well. "Bruno," said the mayor, "where can we find water?" Bruno blinked lazily and turned his head toward the nearby river. The villagers gasped. "Bruno has spoken," cried Mr. Snaily. "The river has water. Let's move the well to the river." Without a second thought, the villagers started digging another well, this time right next to the flowing river. They worked hard all day and night. But when they finally finished, they realized something strange. There was no water in their new well either. "The river water must be shy," whispered Mrs. Bouncy. "It doesn't want to come into our well." The villagers scratched their heads. Finally, little Timmy said, "Why don't we just use buckets and carry water from the river?" At first, the villagers laughed at his silly suggestion. "Buckets? Carry water? Who has time for that?" said Mr. Jumpy. But since they had no other plan, they decided to try it. To their amazement, it worked. They filled their pots and jars with river water and brought it back to the village. From that day on, they called little Timmy the genius of Bloopville. Even though they were still a bit foolish, they learned one important lesson. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best one. And so the villagers lived happily ever after with plenty of water and a lot of laughter at their own silly mistakes. Moral of the story: think before you act and don't overlook simple solutions. How did Emaan do? Would you like me to refine or add anything? The Foolish Village People by Emaan Adnan, Grade 3. Once upon a time, in the heart of a green valley, there was a tiny village called Bloopville. The people of Bloopville were kind-hearted but incredibly foolish. They often made silly decisions that left everyone